We have a doctor who works in the King George's Hospital, although it's at Queen's Hospital, and sometimes he goes to King George Hospital. Last year there were 6,500. There were 6,500 births at the Queen's Hospital, 3,000 plus at King George's Hospital, and it says with the 6,500 births they cannot cope. Imagine having 10,000 plus births at Queen's Hospital. It will be chaos, and that's the reason. We don't want to be burdened on Havering. We would like to keep everything here, because I feel when I go to King George's Hospital, it's my own home. When I go to Queen's Hospital, it's foreign territory for me. Because when you go to King George's Hospital, you see the doctor, the regular doctor, you probably see a patient you might probably living next door to you, or living in the bar in front of you. But when you go to the other side of the bar, which is Havering, different things, totally different things. And it's kind of a hospital which you have a community atmosphere. So we want this to be keeping within the bar of Redbridge. Before I go to our next speaker, we have a distinguished guest who's been working tirelessly, Andy Walker, who's been leading the campaign. And please, Andy Walker.
I'm delighted to be here this evening. When I heard in a recorder about the hospital being under threat, I went to my local area committee and suggested that we have a march and rally, and I was delighted all the councillors were on board. The recording's been absolutely brilliant. I originally said we might have maybe 50, 60 people at the demonstration, because it's really difficult. You know, we've got work commitments, family commitments, they want to play sports or whatever. But it was superb. We had hundreds of people there on the 13th of February. Now, I've put in a form for police permission for another march and rally on Saturday the 17th of April. And I'm hoping to get the police to grant permission next week on that. Fingers crossed that should be okay. In the recorder, I'm sure. Last time around it was a safety hazard by the hospital. So many people that people were spilling into the road. So I've suggested to the police the safer meeting point is going to be the green, the little heated green, which is opposite Redbridge College, to make things safer. How to build the numbers? I don't want to go into the politics of what's happened in Wootton Bassett, but from next to no one going to the funeral, of course, the funeral processions, or what you might call the crowds there, it's built up to about 1,000 people at a time. And that's been done, if you read the articles, by people talking to each other, phoning each other, emailing each other. Ours is a different cause, but the principle remains the same. We need to communicate to each other, we need to phone each other, email each other, and I don't want to predict the numbers, but I think we can do substantially better than the hundreds that we had in February. Hopefully the weather will be with us. Perhaps I'm over-ambitious on this point, but it's going to be in a general election campaign period. The press will be particularly interested. If we can get hundreds more than we got last time, which I think is realistic, we've got every chance of the national TV there, and we've got a really good chance of senior politicians, the Secretary of State, the Shadow Secretary of State saying, well, why are you doing this? And well, hopefully one of them will jump. One of the major parties will jump and say, yes, we are going to save King George's. Yeah. They will say, we are going to save maternity, and it will be a great day. Yeah. No, I want to be optimistic about the future. Perhaps we should have Plan B. Back in the 1930s, hospitals were run by county councils. The London County Council was a major provision of hospitals. Post offices around the country have been shut. There's been press coverage about councils taking over post offices. I don't know if any have actually done that. I've just done some quick sums. 19 million a year. That works out £76 per head. That's what it costs approximately. Hopefully other boroughs will chip in. I see no reason why. I'll be lobbying my councillors on Monday evening. I see no reason why councillors can't look into a voluntary feasibility study of all parties. If the government is so stubborn, or the government, whichever colour it is, so stubborn that it wants to damage health services locally, why we can't look into a feasibility study and buy that A&E and buy that maternity hospital for the sake of the people of Redbridge. So I hope to see everyone with something to vote for.
Thank you, Randy. We may have a divide in north and south, for one reason or other reason, maybe, but for this particular campaign, there's no divide whatsoever. We have a representative of Ilford North, Right Honourable Lee Scott MP, please.
Good evening, everybody. Firstly, I'm delighted to see such numbers here tonight. But there's a few points, I don't plan on repeating anything that's been said, but there's a few points I'd like to make. Firstly, Heather O'Meara, who has a fair amount of blame to shoulder in all this, tried to divide Mike and myself from the word go. Because normally, as Mike will tell you, we're invited to meetings at the PCT together. But funny enough on this, we weren't. We were invited in separately, and I turned up for my meeting to find, the same as you, Mike, was it 5 doctors and Heather O'Meara and Mike Gill sitting in front of us? And they said to me all the reasons why it was best for my constituents not to have an A&E, not to have maternity, and not to have other services at King George's Hospital. Would you know, I've had correspondence from over 5,500 households in my constituency, and not one of them has said they think it's a good idea. So I can save the NHS a lot of time and a lot of money on their consultation. Don't bother, no one wants any cuts at King George's. Stop it now, save your money, and let's all get on with our lives. Now there's a further point. From the west of the borough, the west of my constituency, if God forbid you had a heart attack, I believe before you have that time to get to the hospital, people will lose their lives. Have no question about it. And for the sake of money, nothing is worth losing life for. Certainly not money. So, as Mike has already said, it is quite funny, isn't it, that the person suggesting this comes from Newham, but didn't dare suggest that it would be more viable to close Newham's A&E. It's better to close ours, he said. If we look at what's happening, not only we have a population growth in both Barking and Dagenham and Redbridge, but if I'm not mistaken, in 2012 I think we have something coming to Britain called the Olympic Games, don't we? And what hospitals are they likely to go to? Whipps Cross, Homerton, the London? Well, if patients from the west of my constituency are taken ill, and there is no King George's, they're not going to go to Queen's, they're going to go to Whipps Cross or wherever they can go to get the treatment as quickly as they can.